Vigil, Ante, and the Vigilante Antics by BelleAmant. Read by Oakshadow5. Chapter 47. Outburst. Finals aren't actually that bad, in Izuku's opinion. Well, the written ones aren't. Izuku isn't too sure how to feel about the practical ones yet, although that's likely because he hasn't exactly taken them yet. Nope. Instead, Izuku is standing beside Hitoshi. Their classmates crowded around them as they wait for Aizawa to speak. Whispers reach Izuku's ears, telling him what his peers think. "It's just robots," Kiminari murmurs to Ashido. "That's what the 1B representative said the other day." Oh, yeah, back when Monoma tried picking another fight with Bakugo. Another one, because Monoma just couldn't seem to stop messing with the explosive blonde. "Some of you are okay," Monoma admitted as they sat in the support lab together, Izuku working on a prototype for him. "Like you're a good one." "Thanks, I try," Izuku muttered, and Monoma cackled. "I can see that, but you and your... Is he your brother? Toshi?" Izuku looked up to see a nod, and shrugged. "Pretty much, yeah, in all but blood." "In all but papers, but those will be done soon, most likely. Izuku only needs a month or two more, and then she'll be back, and he'll be free. They'll both be free, and at home at long last." "Your brother is okay too," Monoma continued. "And I guess a few of your friends are too." "Why are you saying it like that?" Izuku asked, an eyebrow rising, and Monoma snorted. "Do you ever spend time with them out of school?" the blonde asked, and Izuku paused. "Not often, but I spent time with them studying, and I hung out with Tenyaku not long ago." A pause, a blink, and then, hesitantly. "Monoma-kun, we haven't even hung out outside of campus." "Oh." Another, longer stretch of silence. "We have to change that." Izuku nodded, reaching over for a screwdriver all the while. "We do?" "Good. But anyways, some of you are good. Your blonde Pomeranian still sucks though." "Blonde Pomeranian? Do you mean Bakugo?" "Same difference," Monoma said, and Izuku snorted. Do blondes have an automatic habit of making nicknames? Izuku wondered, and decided to test the question out when he had time. Monoma had spent the next 5 minutes bashing Bakugo, all the while questioning how Izuku could stand to be in the same room as the blonde. The answer to that question? Izuku doesn't really know, quite frankly. He just accepts that the boy is there, sitting in front of them. Bakugo doesn't actually affect Izuku on most days. He just glares and insults people. They haven't really talked since the sports festival, honestly. Actually, now that Izuku is thinking about it, Bakugo has been avoiding him, to the point of looking away if they accidentally make eye contact. Huh. How odd. Oh, well. So long as Izuku doesn't have to talk with Bakugo, he's happy. Finals will be nice and easy, and then Izuku can move on with the rest of the day. Easy is making a weapon at 10 years old, yeah? He must have tempted fate, thinking this, because Nezu promptly pops out of Aizawa's capture gear, announcing, "Welcome to the practical portion of your finals. Who knows what we'll be doing today?" "Fighting robots?" Ashido shouts, and Nezu beams. "Nope," he cheers, and Izuku knows the next words won't be good. "You're going to be fighting us?" Seemingly out of nowhere, but really from the ground, because Cementos is apparently an overdramatic man, 8 more teachers appear in the blink of an eye, perfectly on cue. Izuku wants to snort, but he holds it back as cries fill the air from some of his peers. They act like they've never had to fight a pro hero. Hitoshi murmurs in his ear, and this time, Izuku really does snort. Aizawa shoots him a look that screams, "Don't do anything stupid, problem child," and so Izuku decides that he really needs to do something stupid. Fate really hates him for this decision, because as Nezu starts to roll off names, Izuku notices with growing apprehension that his name isn't being called right away, and there's only one other who hasn't been called, which means... And the final pairing will be Katsuki Bakugo and Izuku Midoriya against All Might, Nezu chirps, mouth stretched into the abnormal grin that Izuku has grown to distrust, and Izuku barely has time to scroll his face and keep his expression blank. This'll be fun, Izuku thinks, not meaning it whatsoever. Bakugo seems just as displeased, if not more so, if his glare and bare teeth are any sort of indication. All Might just smiles, but that's the man's whole shtick, so Izuku doesn't really care. Instead, Izuku just looks to Hitoshi, who shrugs as apologetically as one can. "Good luck," Hitoshi mutters. "Thanks, you too. You're up against Kaima-sensei, right? Izuku asks, and Itoshi nods.
Yep, with Sero.
A guy with tape and a guy with capture gear? Izuku mutters. Because when hamstring isn't kinky enough, now we have to include bondage and have fights? Hitoshi snorts.
We have to live up to the R-rated part of her name, I guess.
Better than fighting the number one himself, with a live grenade for a partner.
You might not survive this exam.
Probably not. You know the drill if I die. Hitoshi nods calmly, expression one of pure seriousness.
Brainwash Endeavor and command him to set the entire world on fire.
Izuku pretends to wipe at an invisible tear, nodding proudly. You've learned all I can teach you. You ready?
Hey, not to be that guy, but what the hell are you two talking about?
Hunter asks, looking every bit as cautious as he probably should be as he cuts into the conversation.
Izu is dying.
Hitoshi says calmly.
It's finally his time.
Hunter laughs.
I feel you on that, but I doubt the exam will be that bad.
Zero's grin becomes tense, eyes narrowing as he looks between the two when they don't laugh with him.
You are joking, right?
It was nice knowing you, Hunter-kun, Izuku says with a shaky smile, and Zero's drops.
Wait, are you actually dying?
Hunter asks, and Izuku has to hold back his laughter as he keeps the mask of acceptance on.
Izu, everyone should be in their buses,
All-Might calls out, and Izuku takes that as his cue to run off. It's only once he's safely inside the bus that he lets himself laugh, ignoring the way Bakugo eyes him. If all else fails, and Izuku does as well, at least he got to enjoy himself beforehand. Katsuki watches Deku from the corner of his eye for the entire bus ride, but the nerd never speaks up once. The shit for brains doesn't even look his way, as if he's not worth the time, instead just writing in his stupid notebook. And sure, maybe it's because All-Might is right there, and it's not the best move to plan in front of the enemy, but really? Nothing? Apparently, because the only noise Deku has made since getting into the bus is a loud laugh as soon as the doors closed. And then nothing.
You're feeling threatened, aren't you?
Katsuki huffs when the bus stops, stepping out of the vehicle the moment the doors open. He's not upset. He's fine.
You will have 5 minutes to plan together,
All-Might explains, and Katsuki sneers at the man's smile.
After that, you have 30 minutes to either defeat me or get one of you two through the exit. Good luck, heroes!
Just like that, All-Might is gone, disappearing into the city. Katsuki scoffs, adjusting his gauntlets, as if he'll run for the exit like a coward.
You want to show me up to prove that you're better than me?
No, there's no fucking way he'll run. He beat All-Might head on.
You think that defeating me...
He'll win on his own, if he has to.
Will make your precious Deku come back.
He'll show that he's still the best.
You're worthless to him.
He'll show that he's still needed, that he's always needed.
It was never the other way around.
Because if he can't win, what does that say about him? The sound of a buzzer fills the air, and Katsuki launches ahead. In the distance, he can hear Deku screaming his name, but he won't look back. He can't, because that would mean he's looking for something, and he won't let that happen. Izuku wants to scream when the exam starts, only for Bakugo to shoot ahead without him, a scar on his face and murder in his eyes. He does scream, actually, shouting the blonde's name, trying to get the boy to stop and think, because clearly the explosive boy isn't doing that. Seriously, trying to fight All Might? Who does Bakugo think that he is, to rush headfirst into a fight with the #1 hero? Restricted cuffs or not, All Might is still a pro hero, but they're just 2 teenage kids. Sure, Izuku may have some vigilantism under his belt, but that's taught him to do exactly the opposite of what Bakugo is now attempting. And so, Izuku uses his 5 years of experience to come to one conclusion. To pass the exam, he needs to reach the exit. It's a simple decision, really. Izuku is used to running from his problems, and if he can evade everyone from Eraserhead to Ingenium, he's sure that he can get past All Might, even if only by a hair's width. Because 5 years means nothing when facing a hero with no known weaknesses. Sure, there's been the rumors that All Might is slowing down, his hours continuously dropping with every additional year, starting roughly 5 years ago and only decreasing. But that's just retirement, probably. All Might has been going strong for a few decades now, and most pro-heroes retire, forcefully or not, by the late 40s. So yeah, Izuku is not fighting the symbol of peace. No, thank you. Instead, Izuku decides to take Bakugo's thoughtless decision as a blessing, and lets the boy be a distraction as he uses his soundburst shoes to launch him onto a roof, tossing out his capture gear and using it to reach the next roof with ease. And apparently, All Might didn't think he'd run for the exit immediately, because Izuku gets to the gate without a single issue. The bell rings through the air, and a robotic voice announces, "Bakugo and Midoriya are the first to pass the exams!" Relief fills Izuku, and he chuckles. "Looks like I didn't die," Izuku mutters, and then stills at the sound of explosions approaching. Perhaps he spoke too soon. "Deku!" Izuku turns around, holding back a sigh, already predicting what he'll see. Angry eyes, sneering lips, body tense and hands poised to explode. And when he looks at Bakugo, he does see all of these things. But he also sees frustration, and not of the usual kind. And tears form in the corner of those scarlet red eyes that Izuku can barely remember from his childhood, yet sees every single day. Tears that Bakugo instantly wipes away, or attempts to, his giant gauntlets hitting his own face. "Bakugo?" Izuku asks, the name coming out unbidden. But how can it not when his classmate looks so distraught? "Why did you ruin it?" Bakugo asks, but his voice shakes more than it bites, and Izuku can't feel scared of the boy before him. Wouldn't be able to if he tried. I had him handled," Bakugo spits out, pointing back to the city, to where All Might slowly walks over. "I was going to beat him, Deku! You didn't need to run like a coward!" "I wasn't being a coward," Izuku defends, irritation flaring up inside of him. "I was being smart." "So you're calling me an idiot, huh?" "No, but you clearly weren't using your head," Izuku says, because he's not going to sugarcoat this for Bakugo. Although the way Bakugo's sneer seems to drop into more of a frown does catch his attention, because the boy needs to hear the truth. Think about it, Bakugo. You are pitted against All Might. They gave us the option to evade him because they know we can't just defeat the #1 hero. If you are fighting the biggest, baddest supervillain in all of Japan. Cold air, stifled breath, an unseen gaze that watches them endlessly as they tell him what he wants to hear. Would you really go on what could potentially be a suicide mission alone, or would you go for backup? "I beat his ass into the ground," Bakugo shouts, clenching his fists. "I'm not weak. I can do this." "I'm not saying you're weak, Bakugo," Izuku shouts back, because he knows Bakugo isn't weak. He's always known weak is not a word to describe the boy. But sometimes there are others who are stronger, with more experience. You have to know when to fight and when to retreat. If you don't, you just die and become another casualty on the list. "I won't go on a suicide mission," Bakugo snaps. I'm not! "You're not weak," Izuku repeats, but this time, Bakugo breaks. "You don't mean that!" Bakugo screams. "You think I'm weak! You keep looking down on me! You fled because you didn't trust me to win! You left me!" The words are muttered, and Izuku almost misses them. But he doesn't, and the words make him freeze. What? Izuku gets out, because the words make no sense. Is this about when I was sent to the orphanage? He asks, and the words sound stupid, but they're the only possible explanation for what Bakugo could possibly be talking about. Because the only time Izuku ever left Bakugo was when he was taken away from his own home, when his own mother was stolen away from him. Because that's the only time Bakugo could have possibly taken such a disappearance as Izuku leaving him. Because nothing else could possibly explain why Bakugo is starting to cry as he keeps his eyes on Izuku, as if Izuku will disappear the moment he blinks. Izuku chances a glance at All Might, but the pro-hero says nothing, his signature smile looking awkward in this moment. It's almost like the symbol of peace doesn't know what to say. Not that Izuku can blame him, because he's also at a loss for words. Luckily, it's like the proverbial dam has broken in Bakugo, words flying out of him. "You left me! You fucking left! The old hag was going to bring you home and everything, but instead you left and hurt everyone with your selfishness, and then you pop up again and you act like you're so much better than me because you've got your creepy sidekick who can trick people into losing. You act like you're better than me, and you never even..." His voice cracks. You'll never even let me prove myself. You shitty nerd. Prove himself? To Izuku? For what? And you act like you're so much better than me because you've got your creepy sidekick who can trick people into losing. Is he talking about Hitoshi? Of course he is. Izuku isn't stupid. He can connect the dots. You think I replaced you with Toshi? Izuku states. You think I hang out with Toshi because he's strong? Because he wins? Why else would you pick him over me? Bakugo mutters, and Izuku stares at the boy with unconcealed shock. Because he's my friend, Bakugo, Izuku states. Because he stuck by my side for over a decade and never fought me for the things I can't control. He never doubted my abilities due to my quirklessness, and I never doubted him for his quirk. I'm his friend because he is my friend, and because we support each other. Lip curling, Izuku adds on. It was never a choice of you or him, Bakugo. If you hadn't acted so awfully when we met again, I would have wanted your friendship too. But you act like the bully you used to be, and I can't befriend someone who only planned to drag me down. I didn't! You did! Izuku cuts the boy off before he can protest and make excuses. You looked down on me the moment I was pronounced quirkless, and maybe we were just kids back then, and I could forget about all of that. The current you is not someone who sees me without looking at your own inferiority complex. Izuku walks back to the bus after he says the final words, leaving Bakugo to stare at his bag. It feels like a mirror image of the childhood they once shared together, where Izuku followed the blonde like a star. A part of Izuku, a very small part, wonders why Bakugo seems to continue chasing him nowadays. A part of him wants to offer the blonde a hand, to lift the boy up. A part of him wants to question Bakugo about the comment he had made. The old hag was going to bring you home, and ask what he truly meant by that statement. But Izuku can't offer help to everyone. He's only one teenage boy, one with a plate that's far past full. So he walks away, in hopes that one day, Bakugo will become Katsuki to him again, and will walk beside him instead of in front or behind. A smaller part hopes that Bakugo will still want to be beside him, even if the truth is ever revealed. Izuku tramples this part of him down, because he knows impossible hopes when he sees them. Toshinori has made his choice. He thinks that he's made it for a while, if he's being quite honest with himself. Since he first noticed the boy, back during the attack on USJ, he thinks that was the moment his decision was already made. But every moment after, he seemingly confirmed this decision, kept it steady and unwavering throughout the time since that very first week. The sports festival, where he showed the world that he is here. The internships, where Toshinori later heard that the boy had fought the hero killer Stain, although Toshinori technically isn't supposed to know about that. And now, the finals, where the boy understood his disadvantages in his test, knew when he had to flee, and did so. Yes, Toshinori thinks that he made his choice since the first time he considered young Midoriya, and he can admit this to himself openly. Young Midoriya may not have explosive strength, or the intriguing ability that is young Togata's permeation, but he does have the heart, the drive, the determination to go onwards. And really, that is what a successor of One for All needs. The strength comes from the quirk, but the spirit of a hero comes from within. And young Midoriya has that in spades. The hero fledgling who was so eager to help, to save others, that he went so far as to become a child vigilante at the young age of 10, despite his lack of quirk. Originally, Toshinori wanted to speak with Midoriya before the summer camp. He wanted to give Midoriya the quirk before he went off to train, as it would be the perfect time for the boy to focus on his new abilities. But after watching the talk that just went on before him, it's clear that young Midoriya has had a troublesome childhood, and a history with young Bakugo that is tainted and unsavory. And Toshinori worries that Midoriya has never actually had time to just be a child, to be young and carefree, without the stress of bullies or criminals, heavy secrets placed upon his shoulders. So, Toshinori can wait. Yes, he can hold off on the conversation for a while longer. He let the boy go to camp, let the boy have a summer to be free and young, and not weighed down by a legacy like One for All. And when the summer ends, then, and only then, will they talk. And all will be well. It was only one final exam chapter where Izuku immediately fled the scene, which was the best decision in my opinion. And then the confrontation with Bakugo, where they have kind of a heart-to-heart, not really. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed chapter 47 of Vigil, Ante, and the Vigilante Antics, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!